Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Wives Who Win Wednesday. It's Wednesday at 6 a.m. So we are on 6 a.m. this morning instead of 5 a.m. I posted a message on last night and also this morning to let you all know that we would be on at 6 a.m. And I just wanted to see, we may be changing the time. So I'll see what works best for you all. We normally do it at 5. We're doing it at 6 this morning. So let me know if you prefer 5 or 6, which I'm sure most of you would say 6. And that would work for me as well, because I can adjust some things just to make sure that I'm out the door at a certain period to head to my investors. So if 6 a.m. works best, we may be changing the time to 6 a.m. So I am Treal Ravenel, and I am the founder visionary of Wives Who Win, and I am extremely passionate about positioning wives to win in their marriage against all odds. Like nothing is off the table. Good morning, Bonnie. I strongly believe that there is nothing that is irreparable, and I believe that all things are reconcilable according to the Word of God, and that's what I believe. So the women that I typically talk to or even work with, those are women that want to be married, want to do whatever it takes to stay connected to their marriage covenant. So if you're indecisive or if you're ready to give up and walk away, I typically would not be the person to convince you to stay. But you already have to have a made-up mind, if that makes sense. So this morning, yes, okay, 6 a.m., not p.m., Camille. Good morning. We're going to be praying for our husband's attitude. How many of you have heard the saying, thanks, Camille, your attitude determines your altitude. Your attitude determines your altitude. And that means that your attitude determines how things will end up or show up in your life. Your attitude creates the aftermath. Your attitude forms the environment, just the same as saying your words will frame your world. So your attitude would pretty much frame how everything else around you is going to look or end up or manifest as a result of. Many of us have dealt with bad attitudes, rebellious attitudes, various attitudes because of one reason or another, right? In the instance of our husbands, depending on how they grew up, depending on the atmosphere, the environment, the people that they were associated with, and et cetera, it can cause them to have certain attitudes that may not be as pleasing and fruitful as others or as it should be. And sometimes when they get into the marriage covenant, okay, that attitude that they have, that, rude, nasty, arrogant, whatever it may be, it carries over into the marriage. And then they become that person, or they are that person inside the marriage covenant. So now the wife and the children have to all learn how to deal with this person that has that type of attitude. So we want to pray for our husbands this morning. Stormy, we're reading The Power of a Praying Wife by Stormy O'Martian. And she was just talking about this in chapter 20. We are 20 weeks in, you all. She was just talking about in chapter 20 when her husband had a very bad attitude. He just thought a certain way, and he was a certain way based on his past environment, past life. And if you can recall, last week we talked about praying. We pray for our husband's past. So she was talking about how, unfortunately, some things that he saw as a child, he modeled after, be from his mother, his father, or his environment, or whatever the case may be. And typically, that's what happens. While we're growing up, the environment that we're in, be it our parents, around our siblings, our school-age children, and things of that nature, those things shape us. They shape and mold us into the person that we will become. And once we get older, like now, my mom does not shape me. My sisters not shaping me per se. What they do may have some type of influence over my life, but they're not shaping me. The people I'm spending time with now, most of the time, being around and things of that nature, those are the people that are now shaping me and continuing to shape me and to groom me into the person that I am. Good morning, Tracy. So unfortunately, growing up, I know for me, I was bullied and things of that nature in school. Those things caused me to have a certain attitude, and in the same way with our husbands, depending on how they grew up, depending on their lifestyle, depending on, if they ever experienced any type of abandonment, rejection, neglect, or anything that would form or to be. Not this morning. It keeps. Now get it off. Tablet. Okay, keeps trying to freeze my broadcast, so I think that's over. Okay, so what we're doing this morning is praying yes those things. We're praying that those issues, those problems, those encounters, things that they may have been faced with or confronted with as a child or even now, does not shape and form their attitude, but that they have the attitude or the mind of Christ, despite of what they were faced with, despite of some of the challenges that may have, what's the word I'm looking for? Shape, and that's not the word I'm looking for, but in spite of some of the challenges and the things that may have caused them to be or act the way they are, because at this juncture, we have to live with them. At this juncture, the children have to live with them and things of that nature. And you all know as much as I do that nobody wants to be around anybody that has a bad attitude. Nobody wants to be around anyone that has a nasty attitude, that has an arrogant attitude, that has an entitled attitude. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that when it comes to our children. Many of them have a sense of entitlement, or you owe me this, or you need to be doing more, or I deserve this. So we don't want our husbands to have those type of attitudes or to have formed those type of attitudes because of the things that they have dealt with in their life. And I'm just going to read a few sentences here out of Stormy's book. And she was just saying, allowing the past to control today is still a choice. So, and she was relating this as to her husband. So even when it comes to our husbands and our lives, if they allow their past life, and again, we just talked about the past last week, if they allow their past life to mold them or to, not mold them, you said that, Camille, if they allow their past life to cause them to make decisions of today, then that can be a problem. That can be problematic. She said an angry, dour, unforgiving person can get that way for various reasons. And she was saying that every time that she prayed for a spirit of joy to arise, she saw visible changes and the reaction was better as well. So what I want to tell you is that if you're dealing with a situation, your husband's attitude is not interest to still in your sense of joy. His attitude to cause you to react in a way that you should not react. Realize that it's the thing that is what he's struggling with. It's not necessarily you. You guys, I may have to change